Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It is 6 p.m. We're going to go ahead and start our meeting and call the meeting to order. Mr. Salazar?
Mr. Amaya and members of the board, this evening we have students help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and here to introduce us to the students is the proud principal of Dora Romero Elementary, Ms. Grimaldo. Ms. Grimaldo.
Good evening, Mr. Amaya, members of the board, Mr. Salazar. Today I present Aubrey Moreno. Aubrey Moreno is the daughter of Claudia Vera and Francisco Moreno. She is a 5th grade student at Dora Romero Elementary and has maintained all A honor roll and perfect attendance this school year. She's been able to maintain AB honor roll for her entire elementary years. She's an active member of our TED Ed Club, a member of robotics, and a previous member of our Junior Lighthouse team. She's also competed in EAE this year for oral reading. And outside of school, she's a member of the Girl Scouts and a member of the Boys and Girls Club volleyball team. Aubrey looks forward to the future as she has set her goal to become a biologist. This time she has not decided on what university she's attending. Next. Next is George Almeida. He is the son of Cynthia and Ivan Cifuentes. He's a 5th grade student at Dora Romero Elementary and has maintained all A honor roll this school year and also AB honor roll for his entire elementary. He competed in number sense for EAE this year, and on his spare time he researches physics topics to learn about anti-gravity and gravity of space and or on Earth. He wants to be a scientist when he grows up and attend a CSI university.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Grimaldo. We also have students from Los Fresnos Elementary, and here to introduce them is Assistant Principal, Ms. Troncoso.
Good afternoon, Mr. Amaya, members of the board, Mr. Salazar. We have 2 students here from our wonderful campus. Moses Rivera, son of Randy and Sylvia Rivera, is a 5th grade honor student in Ms. Kiger's class at LFE. He participates in several extracurricular activities such as Ecology Club, TED Ed, and EAE. Moses enjoys learning about technology and computer science. His favorite subject in school is math. His plans are to pursue criminal justice and work with a K-9 unit just like his father. Next we have Victoria Duran, daughter of Maria and Eduardo Duran, is a 5th grade honor student in Ms. Kress's class at LFE. She is an active member of our EAE and serves as a student council member. Victoria enjoys singing and playing soccer in her spare time. Her favorite subject in school is reading. When she grows up, she plans to pursue a career in medicine and become a pediatrician.
Ladies and gentlemen, these students are here to help lead us in the pledge. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I used to work for a principal that her motto was, well begun is half done, and every time we have a meeting we start with our parents are leaving, but we want to honor y'all as well. I saw some parents leaving. If you would please stand, the parents of these children, so we can thank you for being here and helping us tonight. Thank you. Thank you very, very much for your help. Mr. Castillo, can you help us with roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Maya?
Present.
Mr. Leonel Garza?
Present.
Ms. Sandra Garcia, she is absent. Mr. Martin Castillo, I am here. Ms. Darlene Peterson? I'm here. Mr. Ray Farias? Present. Mr. Ruben Treveño?
Present.
Mr. Gonzalo Salazar?
Present.
Our counsel, Ms. Leandra Ortiz.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. Mr. Salazar, we turn it over to you for these, another fine representation, I'm sure.
Thank you. Mr. Amaya and members of the board, each month we set time aside to recognize and celebrate the achievements of our students. And here to introduce us to the first group of students is Dr. Wells. Dr. Wells.
Good evening, Mr. Amaya, members of the board, Mr. Salazar. I have the honor of introducing a very special group of students this evening. These are our Special Olympians who participated at the Special Olympics Winter Games in Austin and Round Rock and brought home a lot of medals and a lot of awards. So, and thank you to the parents who are here as well. I'd like to introduce Coach Mauricio Rodriguez so he can tell us a little bit about the students and their accomplishments, and so you get to meet them. Thank you.
Mr. Amaya, members of the board, Mr. Salazar, I'd like to thank you guys. Also our executive director, Ms. Amaro, Mrs. Amaro, our special services director, Dr. Wells, all the campus administrators, as well as all our parents who believe in and support our program. We currently serve 55 student athletes with special needs throughout several elementaries, all 3 middle schools, and both high school campuses. We provide bowling and powerlifting during the fall semester, as well as basketball and track and field during the spring. I'd like to quickly introduce our coaching staff. Patricia Amador, if she can pass by. She's from Dora Romero Elementary. Flora Vasquez from Los Fresnos United. Javier Navarrete from Los Fresnos High School. And we have Mr. Andy Garcia from Los Fresnos High School as well. This past February, we had 13 athletes qualify for their bowling and powerlifting state competitions during the Winter Games in Austin, Texas, and Round Rock. However, due to various reasons, only 9 were able to attend, and I'd like to introduce them at this time. We have Kaylin Alvear from LSU. She's the state runner-up in ramp bowling. She got 2nd place. Soraya Rolas was not able to make it. She's a bronze medalist in powerlifting. We have Casey Buitureira, state champion in singles bowling. She's from Los Fresnos United. We also have Cheyenne Dutton, who was not able to make it. She's a state champion in singles bowling as well. Then we have Priscilla Godinez from Los Fresnos High School. She's a bronze medalist in singles bowling. Then we have Erica Hernandez from Los Fresnos High School, also a bronze medalist in powerlifting. We have a set of twins that also went and competed with us, and they were not able to be here, but they were both state champions in powerlifting in their respective weight categories. And then we have Carlos Teran, also state champion in powerlifting. We're going to take a quick picture for the parents. If all the parents can stand up to be recognized really quick, please. Pass it out.
The other student athletes that are listed on tonight's agenda could not be here. We'll reschedule them for May. They are participating in another event at Los Fresnos United. So we'll move on to item 2 under district recognitions. And for that, I'm going to invite Mr. Ronnie Rodriguez, Director of CTE, to come to the lectern.
Mr. Amaya, members of the board, and Mr. Salazar. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you so much for the opportunity to showcase some of our CTSOs, our Career Student Technical Student Organizations, and accomplishments throughout the 2018-2019 year. Great students and great sponsors equal great results. Our HOSA, matter of fact, our HOSA Health Occupations Student Association just competed at the state level this past week, and we'll have 7 students going to nationals coming up. To introduce, we'll start off with our FFA, and to start off with them, introducing them as our sponsor, lead sponsor, Ms. Edna Sanchez.
Good evening, Mr. Amaya, school board members, Mr. Salazar. How are you? This opportunity that you have provided to us to recognize some of our FFA members who placed grand champion, reserve champion, first, second, and third place overall during the breeding and market shows at the Rio Grande Valley Livestock Show. Now, please let me announce and introduce to you my fellow colleagues. I have Mr. Eric Bernal, Ms. Ashley Guerra is not here with us at the moment. She is featuring a presentation right now at LSU having to do with the vet sciences, so she should be back over here in a little bit. And my other colleague will be Mr. Omar Gonzalez.
At this time, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce to you some of our FFA members who participated in the RGVLS Livestock Show this year. First, we have Ashlyn Cisneros with a third place fine wool lamb qualifying for the Sell of Champions. Miss Callie Crouch, third place market hog, also qualifying for the Sell of Champions. Miss Josie Flores, third place market hog, qualifying for the Sell of Champions, and also with a shop project where she was awarded excellent and also qualified for the auction as well. Miss Larissa Garza, first place with a champion edible plant and third overall the show, qualifying for the Sell as well. Mr. Guillermo Medina, second place market hog, qualifying for the Sell of Champions. Mr. Elijah Moreno, high point individual in livestock judging in the sheep and goat category. Madison Stumbaugh, first place in class, lightweight weight division champion market goat, also qualifying for the Sell of Champions. Mr. Cade Stumbaugh, third place market goat, qualifying for the Sell of Champions. Mr. Lane Tomei, breeding division, champion junior star 5 heifer, middle division champion ABC commercial heifer, and junior calf champion ARB heifer, first star 5 heifer in junior show, and second place in junior senior showmanship. Miss Allison Watts, first in class and breed champion overall, the ABC commercial ABC heifer, breeding division. And Miss Karen Waters, our representative for this year's Cover Girl contest, the Ardeville's Livestock, with their second place market steer, qualifying for the Show of Champions as well. Thank y'all for y'all's time.
While they're taking those pictures, could you, the parents, please stand up so we can thank you for all your hard work.
We also had some Los Fresnos CISD students that showed at the Rio Grande Valley Livestock Show under the 4-H banner, or 4-H Club banner. Very pleased to announce Miss Caitlin Cruz, 10th grader at LFU. Caitlin, 4-H Club President, $1,000 Scholarship Award winner, Silver Buckle from Rio Grande Valley Livestock Show, Grand Champion Hog of the whole show, and Captain for the 2018-2019 Cheerleader Squad upcoming year. Ms. Caitlin Cruz. Also, Mr. Nicholas Reese, 3rd grader at LES, 3rd overall heavy show pig. Thank you all very much. Congratulations.
I see both of our dads standing and their parents here, so we can thank them. Congratulations to y'all.
Very pleased to announce one of our other groups in the CTE department is the VITA program, Volunteers in Taxes Assistance Program. Every year our kids do a wonderful job in helping our community bring back funds that otherwise would have gone back to the government. And during tax season, they volunteer their time and do taxes for the community members. And this year they were responsible for bringing back to the community $858,000 that would otherwise have gone somewhere else. So we're real proud of this program under the direction of Ms. Angie Peña. But first to talk briefly about the program is Ms. Lugo from the Whipple Memorial Library, that is our partner in the program.
Okay, Mr. Amaya, members of the board, and Mr. Salazar, just a brief overview of the program. So VITA is a community volunteer program which certifies its volunteers in tax preparation. We serve the community for individuals who earn $54,000 and less. We also have a free preparation online, and that's for $66,000. So we cover a wide range of incomes. And this year we were able to assist more than 335 families. So, and the students gain a lot of important skills from this program because they learn financial responsibility and also how to relate to others. Okay? Thanks so much.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Amaya, members of the board, and Mr. Salazar.
Thank you for, being here. And I would like to introduce my other sponsor, Ms. Christy Vargas. And then I'm going to go ahead and introduce the students that made it tonight. We did have over 45, but we're going to go ahead and introduce them one by one. And thank you very much. We have Daniel Boñuelos, provider student. Damily Salinas. Dianela Jaramillo. Gladys Gracia. Isela Escobedo. Jared Perez. Just stay right there. We're going to take pictures. Jasmine Ruiz. Laisha Vela. Miranda Castro. Robert Reeves. Stephanie Galvan. And Zaida Cantu. Thank you.
If we have any parents, please stand so we can thank you. This is amazing.
Thank you all very much. Great job. Our next group to be introduced is the Falcon Law Group, and to introduce them is the principal of the Los Fresnos High School, Mr. Justin Stumbaugh.
Good evening, Mr. Amaya, members of the board, and Mr. Salazar. I'm very proud to introduce our Falcon Law program. First and foremost, thank you to the district for all of the support of the Falcon Law program. At the beginning of the year, we had upwards of 60 members, took a total of 43 students to the Texas Public Service Association regional competition held at Westaco High School. From there, 20 students, 9 teams qualified for the TPSA state competition held in Houston, Texas. The following are team members, regional results, and official state results. So representing the accident investigation team who placed third at regionals is Jacob Garcia, Robert Heredia, and Daniel Banuelos. Our next representative is representing the blood splatter analysis team who placed third at region and second place at state, and that's Miss Alia Cruz. Representing the disturbance call team is Mr. Emmanuel Delgadillo, placed first at regional. We had 2 teams advance in the ideal prison competition. Team 1 is Miss Maria Martinez and her partner, Angie Garza. They placed first at the regional competition and second place at state. Team 2 is Miss Angela Garza and her partner, Natalie Viveros. And they placed second at the regional competition behind our first team. Our last student is advanced to the regional, placed second in the opening statement individual event. Her name is Alia Costilla. And she also placed second in theme at the regional competition as well. One note about Alia and Maria Martinez, they're seniors. They each were awarded a $1,000 scholarship by the Texas Public Service Association. So we're grateful for that, and I know they are as well. I also want to thank our sponsors who couldn't be here tonight, Ms. Cheryl Quintero, Ms. Tessa Cepeda, and Ms. Melissa Rendon. So again, that's our Falcon Law program. Thank you for all your support.
Parents would like to thank you all. See some already standing. Thank you very much for your hard work.
Last but not least is our, every time I get to go to the high school, I walk into this man's room. It's incredible the things that he's doing with his students in the engineering department, our PL2W department. It just very neat stuff. If you ever get a chance to go by there and visit with Mr. Martinez Garza. So I go in there and I say, here's the Sea Perch personnel. They are now building a robot that goes underwater, competes in, they've got to go to nationals. They're going to nationals thanks to the board's support. Thank you very much. But to say a little more about the Sea Perch Robotics and Engineering Club is our teacher, Mr. Javier Martinez Garza.
Buenas tardes, Mr. Amaya, Mr. Salazar, members of the board. Every morning before school starts, the engineering club students gather in the classroom to work on whatever the current challenge might be. The design of a robot, documenting a process, or fixing a motor. Some of them come to my classroom during part of their lunch break or after school. This reflects their passion for problem solving, for building, and collaboration. These skills will help them not only in college, but also in the workforce. They have the initiative to find solutions when faced with a challenge. We are blessed to have the complete support from our school administrators, Mr. Stamba, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Salazar, and from you. Thank you for providing these students with the means to be competitive and become successful Falcon students. When I introduce, we have 5 students going to the international Sea Perch event in Massachusetts. Only 3 made it today. Isaiah Martinez, Jose Trujillo, and Alexis Luna.
Do we have any of our parents here? Our robotic team parents? Congratulations to them anyway.
Thank you for the time. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you. Mr. Salazar, item 6, district presentations. Over to you.
Mr. Amaya, members of the board, we have met a couple times with representatives from the Palmas Wind Farm, and they've expressed interest in yet another wind farm within our district boundaries, and here to provide us some information in connection with an item that we have on the agenda is Mr. Dan Casey of Moe Casey and Associates. Mr. Casey, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Salazar. I'm Dan Casey, Moe Casey and Associates. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. And as Superintendent Salazar indicated, you have a wind project. As the door nearly ripped off my trusty Toyota truck when I got out today, I thought, well, this may make pretty good economic sense for the area. But you have before you, and it's on page. You have a spreadsheet that we ran on page 13 of your board book. But what you have before you, and this is in terms of taxable values, it's a $154 million project that on the schedule that they have would be up and going for the 2021 school year. A $20 million limitation applies to that, and there's a lot of numbers on here, but I'll hit just a couple of highlights. But this would mean that they'd be, and they're showing some value in 2019-20, so we suggest they're probably going to start construction late this year. Greg Maxim, who's the property tax consultant with the company, is here. He's available for your, if you have questions as well. But it would be a $20 million limitation. Now, the thing is that we show a school district revenue loss of about $2.4 million, and that's because the state funding formulas don't really start offsetting us until the next year, but the agreements that you have would have the company hold you harmless from any revenue losses associated with that, and that is a standard practice, and that's, I think your previous agreements have had that as well, and so that's why you don't see any school district revenue losses after that first year, because the state funding formulas really offset this. The other aspect of this is that if you look in column L, school district benefits, you're allowed to, and this is consistent with the terms, and you've been successful negotiating terms and other agreements that you'd either receive $100 per student or 45% of the net tax savings, whichever is less, which is a good generous benefit that you've been successful negotiating on your previous agreements. But that would generate about $4 million additional funding for you over the course of this agreement, and that's money that you can use for any purpose. And as things stand, there's no formula offsets or any kind of chargebacks by the state for any of those funds. Those come to you as a donation. Now, like a donation. The thing is that the course of this, and you've got an action item later tonight, is to consider receiving this application. What that means, it means you have to give it good faith consideration, but there are further steps down the road. What would happen if you decide to accept it? Superintendent Salazar would be directed to would review this and send this to the state controller's office for their review. First step is they deem the application complete, and that will normally take them a month or month and a half. And then at that point, they have 3 months to do their analysis and issue what they call a certificate. That means that it meets all state laws, that they view it as beneficial to the district, that the fact that you considered the limitation, that's a significant factor for the company in locating the project here. There's those series of things, and then once that's done, we would come back to you with an agreement as to how all this is to operate, because this is and you can see some of the steps in here, is that this is basically a 15-year agreement, because the limitation applies for 10 years, and then the company is obligated to operate the facility for 5 years after that. They have what they call maintain a viable presence for 5 more years after that. Now, most of these have provisions if the company, and this is pretty standard, decides they want to sell the project, they can assign it to another company. They'd have to come back to you for approval for that to maintain this agreement. But this agreement is a valuable commodity for any company that enters into this, because they're saving on taxes. I mean, the net tax savings we had for them is about $4 million over the course of this, even after paying the hold harmless. So this is a value to the company as far as making this a viable project. So, but the other thing you'd do at that time is approve the findings of fact. If you decided to approve if the agreement was to your liking, and then you decided the findings of fact, then that's what would be needed. That will normally takes the controller has 3 months. I mentioned it takes about a month or 6 weeks to get the application deemed to be complete. Then they have 3 months to make that recommendation to you, issue the certificate, and then normally it takes a couple of months to get it done after that. So I mean, I would expect sometime this fall you'd be looking at consideration of this application for final action if you decide you want to pursue it and proceed on it. So it's one we've worked with. I think they already own another project that you have, so you have some history of the company. Their representatives, Cummings Westlake, Greg Maxim is here, have been a very, very good company to work with. They're a real solid company to work with as far as making sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed as far as getting this process moving forward. So we're very comfortable recommending this project to you, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be considered to work with you on this project. We've always been very appreciative of treatment we've gotten in Los Fresnos, so I always enjoy coming down here. It's hard to follow students when you're making one of these presentations because whatever you say is going to fall a little short from that show that you had tonight, because you have a right to be proud of your student population. You've got some really great achievers across the board. Appreciate it. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you may have.
Board members, questions? Anything to add, Mr. Salazar, to clarify?
Oh, Mr. Maya, like you said, or Casey said, we have some experience working with this company. Again, as you mentioned, the next step would require the application going to the state comptroller's office, as we've done with 2 other projects. And the next time we bring it to the board, there's a little bit more of a commitment. Not a little bit; it's significant commitment to move forward with the project. But we've had good experience with other wind farms, and it's been beneficial to our school district. Mr. Casey, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Casey, thank you for being here tonight and straightening out these numbers. But on another note, for years, I want to thank you. We can only thank you for us and maybe this region, but for keeping an eye on the people in Austin, and then when they make all their expert decisions on school finance, we all wait for you and your company to say, okay, what does this really mean to us? So thank you for that.
Thank you. It's gotten harder over the years, I got to say.
To decipher what the code is?
Yeah,
or?
it is. It hasn't gotten easier. And there's some hearings of this commission that are going on this week, and we've got some testimony we've got to provide later in the week. But appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Salazar, district reports.
Mr. Amaya and members of the board, we present our district reports and wonder if, along with our financial reports, we include a budget and tax calendar. We have tentatively scheduled our first budget committee meeting for the 30th. We have a special called meeting on the 30th, and would like to hold a budget committee right after that meeting. If anyone has any questions on our financial reports, we're prepared to answer those at this time.
We're good, sir. No one has signed up in public audience. Consent agenda. We have 4 items on consent agenda, just like we have done in the past. I'll entertain a motion to accept consent agenda as read and as posted. If one of our board members would like something pulled for discussion, we can do that. So is there a motion? Mr. Castillo.
Mr. Maya, make a motion to approve and consider items 1 through 4 as written.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Thank you, sir. I have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda as posted and as written here, all 4 items. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. It is unanimous. Action items. Action item number 1, discuss and take action on initial review of application for appraised value limitation on qualified property submitted pursuant to the Texas Tax Code Chapter 313 by Palmas Wind LLC, and authorize the superintendent to engage consultants for review of applications. Do I have a motion? Mr. Trevino.
Yes, President Amaya, I move the board authorize consideration of the application for the appraised value limitation on qualified property submitted by Palmas Wind Farm LLC, authorize the superintendent to engage consultants pursuant to district policy CCG local, and authorize the superintendent and consultants to proceed with action on the application pursuant to Texas Tax Code Chapter 313 and district policy CCG local.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? You want to repeat all that, Coach? Or Coach Garza? No. So you're just giving me a second. Okay, we're going to go into we have a motion and a second to discuss this, and I'm going to ask for some clarification. I hear some talk out there, so I thought we might want to. Ms. Ortiz? David, can we go by what was listed here? Because the motion was a little bit different. Is the way it posted the problem, or the way the motion was made?
We're not sure that there's any problem at all, sir.
Okay.
We think that just to be on the safe side, it might be good to have a record vote so that we can show that there's no conflict of interest between any of the board members and the company or the land considered for this project. I looked at the documentation for it. I don't believe there is any. But Mr. Casey had that concern.
10-4, we can do that. Now, if someone's going to explain a record vote to me, because the records are vinyl. Roll call vote. And that will be done by our assistant secretary, or by me, or by David, or by whom? We've never done this. Okay, let me see if there's any discussion first. We have a motion and a second on item number 1 under our action items. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, item number 1, we have a motion and a second to take action on initial review of application for appraised value limitation on qualified property submitted pursuant to Texas Tax Code Chapter 313 by Palmas Wind LLC, and authorize the superintendent to engage consultants for review of application. We're going to do this by roll call. Mr. Young, will you assist us with this? Thank you.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Garza? Mr. Castillo? Aye. Mr. Farias? Mr. Trevino?
Aye. The vote is unanimous. Action. Thank you, Mr. Young. Item number 2, discuss and take action to review agreement contracts with for CSP number 16-17-31, Food Service Management Company of Southwest Food Service Excellence, LLP SFE, for a 1-year cost reimbursable contract subject to regulatory approval. Is there a motion? Mr. Trevino?
Yes, President Amaya, I move that we renew agreement contracts for CSP number 16-17-31, Food Service Management Company to Southwest Food Service Excellence, LLP, SFE, for a 1-year cost reimbursable contract subject to regulatory approval.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Mr. Farias? Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? There is no discussion. We have a motion and a second to approve, renew the contract for CSP number 16-17-31, Food Service Management Company to Southwest Food Service Excellence, LLP SFE, for a 1-year cost reimbursable contract subject to regulatory approval. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. It is unanimous, 5-0. Finally, on our action items, discuss and take action to approve the Texas State Technical College Memorandum for Understanding MOU for CTE dual enrollment programs for the 2018-2019 school year. Do we have a motion? Mr. Garza?
I move to approve.
Is there a second? Mr. Castillo is on the second. So we have a motion and a second on item number 3, discussion. There is no discussion, and having a motion and a second to approve the Texas State Technical College Memorandum for Understanding MOU for CTE dual enrollment programs for the 2018-2019 school year. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Once again, it's unanimous. Announcement, sir?
Mr. Amaya, members of the board, on Tuesday, April 17th, tomorrow, the baseball team travels to play the Rivera Raiders at 6:30 again at Rivera. At 7 p.m., the softball team will host the Rivera Raiders here at home. On Thursday, April 26th, we have our employee awards banquet. And that begins at 6 p.m. That is held at Los Fresnos United. On Saturday, April 28th, from 1 to 4, we will have the Los Fresnos CISD experience. That's again at Los Fresnos United. And if you recall the Education Expo, this is a version of that, but it's interactive this year. Monday, April 30th at 6 p.m. we have a special called board meeting, and at 6:30 p.m. a budget workshop. Those are all the announcements we have this evening.
Questions, announcements, any board members? None. It is 6:45. The meeting is adjourned.